Is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Charity Stripe commentary. That's some spicy stuff to start off the show, but we are back after a little hiatus. I forgot to tell Trey I was going up north last week, so I was smoking weed and drinking spiked lemonade, and it was good times.
To be fair, we didn't miss really anything, and honestly, I knew we were going to try and record today. And yesterday, I was trying to think of things we could talk about, different stuff going on. Little did I know that I was going to we were going to be gifted something from the content gods. And so the way I found out is Cold Iron sent me a screenshot of the tweet, and it was Shams, and it had the quote and the video. Immediately, I think it's fake. I'm like, clearly this is not real. And I ask him if it's real. And as I'm waiting on him to respond, if it's real or not, you message me. And you're like, have you seen the Harden thing? And that's when I knew it was real. And I was just like, no fucking way. No way is this real. And I still cannot believe that happened, that we are living in this timeline. What was your reaction when you saw it?
Not great, Bob. But yeah, I'm exactly like you. I couldn't believe this was actually happening. Like, this has been a weekend of stuff happening that is just absolutely unbelievable. And like a Monday to start off the week, it's crazy. It's so crazy that he said that to a crowd of people twice.
To me, it seems like it's like if you're on a plane and you see the seats beside you, the two people, they're kind of fighting for the armrest, and both of them just continue to get harder and harder, elbowing each other, because they're both so very happy to just beat the crap out of each other for this armrest. To me, that's Morey and James Harden here. Morey said, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Harden is showing he is very happy to be uncomfortable, and they are just elbowing the crap out of each other, fighting over this armrest, because Morey's came out and said it, or it's came out that his stance is unchanged from Harden's comments, and he's going ahead as normal. So seems like a happy life up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Daryl Morey's got a bloody nose and saying, give me some more. I will win this fight, and I will get this armrest, as you like to say in that one. It's absolutely crazy that James Harden said this, and Daryl Morey is so stubborn that he is just... Do you go Harden for Dame? Can you even do that?
I mean, I like my three-teamer with Ayton and Maxey going to Portland, Harden going to the Suns, and Lillard going to the 76ers. But, I mean, at this stage, because he's in the last year of his contract, if he doesn't show up for 30 days, this year won't count, and then he will still be stuck with the 76ers. So he has to show up after 30 days, but he can show up wearing his fat suit. He can make Joel Embiid uncomfortable, and as happy as Morey is to be uncomfortable, I don't know how happy he's going to be if Harden is there making Embiid uncomfortable. So for me, I don't see how you can bring Harden back after this. I know Morey says he nothing's changed, but for me, I feel like everything's changed. Even if you don't trade him before training camp, I don't see how you can want to bring him into the building.
The 76ers went through something similar to this when they had Ben Simmons just show up and not play or just not even do anything. But this is nuts. Like, he is actively trying to destroy the franchise. Not subtly. He is actively, overtly trying to destroy the franchise. And Morey is just letting it happen. The Embiid point is huge because we talked about them having to trade Harden to make Embiid happy. Now you've got Harden saying stuff like this out in public, and he's not going to come back ready to play. He's going to come back and whatever. He's just going to sit out. Who knows? But this is like way worse than the Ben Simmons situation.
Yeah, this isn't just requesting a trade. This is lighting the bridge on fire as you're doing it. What do you think? Do you think Harden has a motive for why he's burning it down the way he is? Because him and Morey were buddies back in Houston. They were clearly buddies before all this, but now it seems like that relationship soured, and it soured very quickly, with Harden calling Morey a liar. For me, it just screams that Harden was given the impression that things were going to work one way, and now they are not working that way.
That's what it feels like. That is how you go scorched earth. That is why you go scorched earth. There's like those videos, TikToks or whatever out there of that guy who basically just went and just did the bare minimum at his job, and HR in review was asking him why, and he said, well, I went above and beyond my job, and I asked for a raise, and you said I was making the average, and I looked and it was not really, so I just did all the work that I had to do to be average. And that's what Harden's going to do. Harden's not coming back to help out the 76ers. He did his job last year. He took enough money to let PJ Tucker get signed. He played, and now he wants to get paid like he thought he would. Unfortunately, it sounds like Daryl Morey has changed his tune.
This is just me guessing on all of this, but when Harden opted in and then requested a trade, it felt like to me, instead of opting out and then kind of forcing the Sixers' hand in a sign and trade position, by opting in, I think Harden felt like Morey was going to trade him and just, get the job done because they were buddies. And I don't know if it had been agreed to beforehand, but that's the way I feel. I feel like Harden, the only reason Harden would opt in is so that way he could guarantee that money and then they could trade him. Because otherwise, if he really wanted out that bad, he could have just opted out and then done a sign and trade. So I feel like he was given the impression that Morey was going to do him the solid and trade him, because Harden did Morey the solid by signing for less, like you were just talking about. And now Morey's not getting a deal that he wants, so he's going to, Morey said Harden's coming into camp, and that's what led to Harden having this outburst. To me, that just screams Harden saw that report and was like, you told me you trade me, you're a fucking liar, and I'm going to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not going to ever get the other side of the story because there's no way Morey ever spills his beans about this. He's going to take this one to the grave. I don't know how I really don't understand how he thinks Harden can come back to camp. Like, this is irreparable. He said those things to public. It was videotaped and shared and went viral.
Part of me wonders if Morey ever intended on Harden making it to camp, and he just came out and said, we're shutting down trade talks as a way to, drum up interest, because clearly they weren't getting what they were after. But either way, Harden coming back and doing this in retaliation, that just shows how big the rift is and how much damage has been done. And it's, man, I feel bad for 76ers fans. They've been through a lot these last 10 years, and I hope that Embiid MVP was nice, because I think that's about all the success they're going to have in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's a good call, because you're right about Harden. He doesn't do this loudly. He protests quietly. He wears the fat suit. He throws backwards passes that go out of bounds or over the center line. He just doesn't try as hard. He doesn't go out.
You're saying he's a good quiet quitter?
Yes. Excellent quiet quitter, but just loud enough to let you know that, it's time. it's time to wrap this up.
For me, I think this just shows Harden is the face of the player empowerment era. Like we thought it was LeBron, and then KD forcing his way. It's Harden. Harden just gets to do whatever he wants. He forces his way where he wants to go, and it just doesn't matter. And you know what? Good for him. You want to bounce around. You want to bounce around from place to place. Go for it. Like that's your style, man.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. I think it's hilarious. But 76ers fans, it's tough. It's tough for them.
All right, you want to go the either or you want to talk about your favorite new rookie now that Wembanyama is in the league and he's your favorite NBA player?
Well, I think we should definitely go with that topic since you jazzed it up so much. We're going to talk about potential Duke recruit, reclassified to 2024, Cooper Flagg, playing at Montverde Academy out of Maine. He is reclassified and he just played his sophomore season. So he's going to college after this next season. And you ask yourself why. Do you know why, Trey?
Why reclassify? Because these drafts suck. And he's the clear, like, by reclassifying, to me and what I've read, he seems to be the clear number one prospect already. And a lot can change. He's only 16 years old. He, like you said, he is very young. But with as poor as the draft classes are, I think it would have been silly to not reclassify for him.
Yeah, so he's a 2006 babe, and the people in his year have played their junior seasons. He was December of 2006. So his parents probably held him back to make him one of the oldest children in his grade. Which
well, the way it works in America is the cutoff is like the beginning of September.
Oh,
I think so. So the oldest kid in my class, his name was Travis Darnold. Shout out to Travis Darnold. His birthday was September 11th, and so he was the oldest kid in our class. Like he turned 18 our senior year. Like right when we started school, I graduated at 17 because I was a June baby. So that's the way it works here in America. So Cooper Flagg, he wasn't like held back. That was just because he was born in December. That's just the way it worked.
Oh, we go calendar year in Canada. So his parents would have had to make the choice to hold him back a year.
Right. That's why I wanted to jump in because it's the being down here, that's why it worked that way. So he's, like you said, he's reclassifying, and it's more, instead of him being one of the oldest in the class, he's now one of the youngest in his class.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's different. I did not know about that rule. So, but he's been one of the older kids in his class, gained the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours because he's so tall in Maine. He had great stats in his freshman year. Was the Maine Gatorade Player of the Year, and led his team to the championship in single A.
I got to be honest, I don't know that there was a lot of competition for that one.
I don't think so either. I really don't think so. And then he went to Montverde, and I think a lot of the hype's coming from the AAU circuit more than his high school basketball.
Yeah, he's had. He's played really well a lot, but he's had some huge like blocks and steal total games, and he's very fluid. He's got great instincts, great awareness, and I think what sticks out for me the most is that defensive awareness along with the fluidity he has on that end. Just honestly, so you remember before the draft, it was like Jabari Smith is the greatest role player ever. He's going to be the best. For the hype that Jabari Smith was getting as the best role player, he should have been doing what Cooper Flagg is doing in these games because, like you said, he went to Montverde, and I think you said he came off the bench for them but they are like a top tier program. So being able to practice against them, even if he's 6'8" now, I bet he's going to be at least 6'9", 6'10" by the time he enters the league. He's only 16. If he can keep that fluidity and those defensive instincts and rim protection, I think he is everything we wanted Jabari Smith to be.
Yeah, no,
or is he more Draymond? Because Draymond is what I hear, what I've seen a lot from people, just in terms of like defense. He's a defensive leader, but he's going to be able to come in and just lead on. I don't see Draymond. I see Jabari Smith.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that comp a lot better than Draymond. I don't see Draymond in him at all. This next year, I think is going to be very important in high school. So do you think he's going to be going to college, potentially Duke? They had offered 9 shooting for small forwards in the class of 2024. They already had 2 commit. Cooper Flagg would be coming in. Apparently, he's a power forward. I think he's a small forward. He needs to bulk up a little bit. You think he's a power forward?
You're an old man. Okay, like yes, if this was the late 90s, early 2000s, yes, he would need to bulk up a little to play the 4. What power forward is backing him down and punishing him in the post?
Okongwu.
He's a center.
No. Oh, they had Capella. They got rid of Capella.
Did they? Oh man, I must have.
Or no, they have Capella. Like he's playing.
Yeah, but forward. I mean, he backs up Capella. They don't play them together. I think they might be trying it now, and in that case, if you can have the Atlanta Hawks running their offense through posting up Onyeka Okongwu, that's a win.
No, absolutely.
For me, I think his size, and he's only going to get bigger because, again, like we've said, he's only 16. I think he's going to fit well in that the new 4, not the old 4. But I think he's big enough. Like LeBron's not going to be around when Cooper Flagg's playing.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of great players in the NBA, and I don't know. The comparisons to Larry Bird, I'm a little skeptical of.
That's like, I thought the Draymond one was bad. Larry Bird is worse. No, to me, if anything, it's like if we're gonna go the white on white comparison, go Andre Karolinko.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a
really good one.
I'm more like Dennis Rodman. But I don't know how his rebounding is going to translate. But he seems to have those same instincts on that end. Just he can find the ball. He's long and lanky. But I like the AK comparison that I just came up with. What was the first? Oh, Jabari Smith, but everything we wanted him to be.
Yeah, exactly. I think AK-47 is a great pick on the comparison there. He was a little ahead of his time. He was trying to play like my days with the power forwards being bulkier. So he would have killed it in this day and age. So I think that's kind of his ceiling, Cooper Flagg. I think that's a good ceiling for him, AK-47.
Yeah, he got Defensive Player of the Year love for a couple of years, AK did. So if Cooper Flagg is contending as a Defensive Player of the Year type of player, I think that's an excellent pick. And I'm excited to see his growth just because you have guys like Wemby coming in. You've got Chet. Guys like Cooper Flagg, if he can stay that fluid and maybe grow another couple inches, I think he's going to be the kind of defender we're going to have to defend those types of players.
Yeah, it's just getting longer and longer, the NBA, it feels like. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the way it works. You had your boom with 3-point shooting, And so you got smaller guys in because they had been practicing shooting longer. But now that we've had 10 years of everybody practicing the 3-point shot, it's going back to that natural. Okay, now we need the length, we need the height. It's just bouncing back out.
Great observation there, Trey. I love it. As an excellent point. So now let's talk about the either or teammate edition. And why don't you explain that to the crowd there?
Oh, well, whenever I was thinking about Jabari Smith, I was thinking about how well he's fitting with Şengün. And I think it was Bassini on the Athletic show. They were talking about doing an expansion draft. I'm like, man, it would really suck if I had to pick between Jabari Smith and Şengün. And so now I've just got like a handful of different pairings. And if you have to give up one of them, I want to know which one you're giving up and which one you're keeping. So assuming that the teams are the teams, Adam Silver comes and says, hey, you got to lose one of these guys in the draft. Which one do you want to lose? So you've got Jabari Smith and you've got Şengün. You've got Jalen Green, you've got Tari Eason, Kevin Porter Jr., all that going on. I know I'm missing somebody, but
Fred VanVleet.
Oh yeah, and you have him.
Honestly, I'd give up Jabari because I think Şengün put some shooters around him. I think that's one of the things that they're looking for from Fred is just him coming off screens and shooting threes and trying to teach the other kids that all this action.
I think you're right. If I'm starting a team from scratch, I think I'm taking Jabari Smith. But given the team that they have now, Tari Eason can give me 85% of what Jabari Smith gave last season. And I mean, maybe he's going to step up. He seemed to do a little bit better. But right now, I think you're right. Şengün would be the guy I would keep. I like his playmaking. The playmaking big is going to be the new thing that's in, and Şengün can do it. So I'm right there with you on that one.
My God, if Jabari Smith was ever available in the expansion draft, he might be first pick, unless we're also talking about the other guys we're about to talk about.
Well, next up is in Detroit. You've got Cade Cunningham and Ivy. So for me, it's an easy choice with Cade, but I know you're not as high on Cade as I am. You've got the injury issues, and Ivy's been explosive. He's younger. So where are you leaning? Because I'm on Team Cade forever.
I like Team Cade. Unfortunately, I think what Detroit needs is Team Ivy. And, I could see Cade running the point there with all those jumpers and tall guys. But Jaden Ivey also doing that, it's basically like John Morant. It's another iteration of John Morant. That comparison was made on draft night a ton because they both went to school together. So that's where I'm going.
I don't blame you. Cade's got that big playmaker energy in him, and I'm a sucker for that. Like, I am an absolute sucker for that. All right, I got two more. So in Oklahoma City, Shea's the easy. You're keeping SGA,
yeah,
clearly. So I had to pick between J-Dub, Giddey, and Chet. I went ahead and threw Chet out because we haven't seen him play. So if they come to you and you're like, you got to pick J-Dub or Giddey, which one do you want to keep?
Because Williams plays center for them. Small, basically he pulls the.
He can play the super
Draymond.
small. Yeah, he can do the Draymond. He's got a pretty decent handle. He's active cutting. He's got hops. But he can't shoot super great. But Giddey couldn't shoot until he got to train with Chip. So maybe Chip can do some magic with J-Dub too.
It's a tough one because I want to keep Giddey. Giddey plays so well, and him and SGA play well together. But I think you need Jalen Williams. I think you need to keep him. And SGA is going to be your your point guard long term.
You almost had me flipping to Giddey when you said they play so well together. And with the way defenses are, I think having that release valve, having that second option come playoff time is so important because good playoff teams are going to not let you do the thing you want to do. So
that's definitely what Phoenix thinks.
For me, I think J-Dub could be a star, though. Like, I think he could be a legit star. So I think you're right. You got to go J-Dub, even though Giddey is probably the better fit. Because other than SGA and Giddey, I don't know. Who do they have really that handles the ball other than those two?
I can't think of them, anyone off the top of my head. So
okay, good.
I'm
not the only one. Right, and when you have two guys who are that good with the ball, and I understand having it, but that's one of the reasons that I'd really consider Giddey. But J-Dub just has that superstar potential that you can't turn down. All right, I think this is the hardest one, so I saved it for last. We got Paolo or Franz down in Orlando.
I'm taking Paolo. I'm sorry. I think Paolo is just going to be
the Duke boys ride together.
Yeah. That's not even just that. Unfortunately, Franz is great, but I don't think he's a number one. I think he's an excellent number two, 1B at most. So Paolo's a number one, and he knows how to play. Like, he's not a selfish number one.
I'm right there with you. What it comes down to me, do I think Paolo, because like you said, Paolo is a one. That's his role. But can he excel in that role enough to lead a team to a title? Because if I think he needs a super strong 1B, I'd lean Franz, because having that super strong 1B who can do everything is a vital piece on a team. But I think Paolo, with his ability to draw fouls and just the way he plays and his size, and his defense looked better in the NBA than it did in college, which is a really good sign. I think you're right. Paolo is the guy to keep. Then they've got Suggs, Anthony, Fultz is down there, right?
Yeah.
Wendell Carter Jr. So they've got a good core, and Paolo, I think he's going to look a lot like Blake Griffin. I know a lot of the comps were to Carmelo, but I think he's going to look more like Blake Griffin than Carmelo Anthony, especially that year that Blake was handling the ball and he was like top 3 in the MVP voting. That Blake Griffin is the one I'm thinking of.
No, that's good. I think both, like a combo of each, because he would have the shooting of Melo and the driving of Blake.
Well, I think he's going to have some playmaking like Blake had too, that as much as we all love Carmelo, playmaking was not his strong suit.
No. Yeah, Paolo knows how to pass. And he had to do a lot of deferring at Duke, and he showed that he can. And I that's why I think we take him. You only keep Franz if you think you can draft another one soon. And do we see a clear number one? They'd have to bottom out or luck out with a number one pick.
Yeah, I don't see one. So I think Paolo's the answer for that one. All right, let's do a Raptors one real quick. Siakam or OG?
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I'm keeping OG because of Barnes. I think he works better with Barnes. Siakam needs to go somewhere where he can truly be a number one or a 1B.
I respect the answer. Bulls, if I had to do DeMar and Zach, pack your bags. I'm keeping DeMar. I love his leadership. I love everything he brings to the table. And I think Zach is that one. He plays the style of a 1, but I don't think he can lead a team to a title. I don't think his defense is good enough. And maybe he's back from the knee finally because he did look a lot better in the second half of the season. But with the amount of money he makes and what I've seen from him in the last couple of years, I'd rather have DeMar and that leadership and building up the younger guys because I do like the core of what Chicago has. They just, they lost their skeleton key in Lonzo. So sorry, Zach, but I'm packing your bags and you can go off to Seattle or Vegas or wherever the next expansion team is.
I know that's an excellent job, and you really brought up the piece about Lonzo. It's if they had Lonzo, they'd be a really really good team, and he would help cover up Zach, and DeMar fits well with him. So I'm very sad for the Bulls fans with the Lonzo injury.
It's why I give the Bulls the new GM, so much leeway because he hasn't made the greatest moves the last year and a half, but that's because he built this team, and if it had worked the way it was supposed to, they would have been fringe title contenders while not going into the luxury tax, which is insanely hard to do. And he managed to pull it off. And Alonzo going out just screwed it all up. But he's made little small moves on the margins. And here in 2 years, they can have a lot of cap room. So for me, it sucks that the Lonzo thing happened. But I'm glad that the Bulls as a franchise are back in the business of building teams that look like they can compete. Because, the first couple of years we did this show, the Bulls were a laughing stock. And it was your Raptors were serious, Marcus's Heat were serious, Caleb's Celtics were serious. And then here I was, the bottom feeder who could critique all of your teams because my team didn't matter. And it was nice to matter there for a half a season. But we'll be back.
No, it was very promising half of the season. You're exactly right. It's just things didn't work out like they should have according to the paper. Nikola Vucevic just wasn't the player they thought he was going to be. He didn't quite mesh well. DeMar was a great pickup. Caruso, absolutely awesome, but then he had got a couple injuries. And it's just been, they've had some bad luck with it, but you're right. Their GM has done some really good moves and set them up really nicely for 2 years from now. When I think, what are we at is that the Bryce James class? Is that 2025?
I think so. I don't know. No, Bryce can come out next year.
Oh,
he was going to go play USC. Yeah, he was going to play. He was, because he was at USC practice when he had the heart thing happen.
No, that's Bronny. I'm talking Bryce.
Oh, well, I don't know. That's too far down the road.
Because I think they say Bryce is the better one out of the two of them. He's the more coveted prospect.
I'm of the theory that typically the younger sibling is going to be better because if they have an older sibling that they get to play against and learn from that is so good they make it to the NBA, that's iron sharpening iron from a young age. But
yeah, you're right. It's always the
you made it sound so sad to be a Bulls fan, and I can't believe for the first time in a long time I can't believe I'm about to say this, but at least I'm not a 76ers fan.
That's rough, buddy.
That is tough. It is very tough for the 76ers, and that's how we're going to end the show here. From a Raptors fan, I am definitely not dancing on the graves of the 76ers at all. Never would do that.
The two Jays smoking that Philadelphia pack tonight.
The Celtics fans are definitely not happy right now and just loving life. So it's a tough day for the 76ers fans, but that's what happens when you entrust Daryl Morey to just not make the right moves at all. Here, he
to not care about chemistry.
Yeah, can't win them all. You got to take some L's there, Daryl. It's a game of wins and losses, not just wins. So you might have to eat the L on this one. So thank you. Have a good night. Check out Trey on Threads at Finally. Check out Charity Stripe Commentary at the Hoop Social Network. We've got hoopsocial.com where we've got excellent articles coming out all the time. We've got some great content into the start of the NBA season. We've got it going through the WNBA season. We've got a lot of WNBA action with a good coverage on the website, excellent coverage. So check us out there. And any parting words there, Trey?
So the Aces lost to the Liberty, and it was pretty ugly because the Liberty were on fire. The next game, the Aces, who are like one of the 3 best teams ever in the WNBA, came out and just was like, they were going to make a statement. 16-0 run to start the game. Just the least surprising 16-0 run to start a game ever. So shout out to the Aces for being fucking elite.
Yeah. And the next game is Thursday, Liberty versus the Aces. That's at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So check that out. Thank you. Have a good night. Good night, Trey. It was fun talking with you. And stay safe out there.